From what I'm told, sources close to me, 6 NFL executives are the ones who create the NFL schedule. And that group includes our next guest. He's Onnie Bose. And the schedule makers get help from technology. Thousands of computers produce thousands of possible schedules. So that leaves it up to the schedule makers to select the best ones. And then I believe they pass it on to the commissioner. Also, you have to factor in this, that part of the conversation, the tricky part is the networks will lobby to have certain games. So the network executives always are angling to have the best games on. I don't know how involved they are with any of those things, but that's why we're having Onnie Bose on. Onnie, good to see you again. NFL Vice President of Broadcasting. Did I get everything right there with behind the scenes?
I think you captured the essence of it, Dan. Great to be here with you.
Okay, how argumentative, passionate does it get behind the scenes with you guys before you send it off to the commissioner with these matchups?
It's a great question. I think, the good thing is, as you mentioned, there's 5 or 6 of us who sit in that room, whether it's a real room or a virtual room, and we're all really invested in this. We're all really passionate about making sure that, our objective is let's put the best games into the best windows. Let's make sure our fans can see what's out there, the games that they're circling on the calendar today. And it does get passionate because you've got to balance, kind of competitive issues. You want to make sure it's fair for every team and how they play their games. But as you mentioned, every network, wants and deserves a piece of those top, 40, 50 games. And it gets passionate where you argue, hey, this game should be on a Sunday night, or this game should be on a Monday or a Thursday. Is this too big for that window? We're all invested in it. We all care. It's all collegial, but it absolutely can get heated at times. And, we walk out of the room at the end of the day or at the end of the process, we all respect each other and appreciate that we challenge each other.
Okay, once you guys come up with the schedule, then you take it to Commissioner Goodell?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as, straightforward as we walk in there with, hey, boss, here's the last one. We've actually, over the last few years, really established a cadence where we'll kind of level set with him early in the process. That process can start as immediately as after the day after the previous season ends. But we really get into it once the Super Bowl is over. We know where the kickoff game is going to be at the home of the champion. And then it's iterative, and we'll meet with the commissioner multiple times, maybe once a month in February and March, and then really through April, probably weekly, we're up there giving him updates, just making sure that he has a sense of where we're headed and making sure there's nothing on there that he would say, hey, don't do that, or I would never play it that way.
Why Detroit against Kansas City to open up the season? It's rare to have a team that didn't make the playoffs last year.
It's a great question, Dan. And that's one of the ones that we probably had some more of our more passionate discussions about. A couple things to factor in there. One, when you start with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, any Super Bowl champion is going to be attractive. But when you've got them in there, that game's going to have a high amount of attention. It's going to get a lot of viewership. He is, kind of our gold standard at this point of the individual player that people are going to tune in to watch. They have great home opponents this year. We could have gone out with a Super Bowl rematch. We could have played Cincinnati, the championship rematch. We could have played Buffalo. Any one of those games would have gotten blockbuster numbers. We considered all of them. They've got great divisional matchups. The AFC West always matters. The Chargers play great primetime games against the Chiefs. So we left ourselves open-minded. There's a lot of years where we might say, this is the one game that we're going to play on kickoff. This year, we kind of said, there's a lot of games we let consider. And as we went through the process, the Lions were one of those teams we left in there. And we really like that narrative around that team. They as you well know, kind of what the culture that they're building there, the way they finished that season, 8 wins out of their last 9 or 10 games. Last time we saw them on national television was the last game 272 of the regular season, and they were beating the Packers in Lambeau to keep Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs. We really like that. There's a lot of energy there, and we feel really good about starting the season with that energy against the Super Bowl champs.
How much of the schedule is put into place prior to the draft, and also with free agency or Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, factoring in rookie quarterbacks as well? How much does it change, let's say, after those situations have been completed?
Look, that question is really pertinent for this year because the draft heading into that week, Aaron Rodgers hadn't been formally traded. Lamar Jackson hadn't signed. So those were in the back of our heads, right? We were pretty confident that Rodgers was going to be a New York Jet, but we really wanted to see that happen before we locked it in. So the fact that trade did go through gave us some relief, because we had told ourselves if he's not traded by Friday night of the draft, we're going to have some contingencies. We didn't have to go there. Beyond that, the draft helps us think about some things on the margins. Obviously, there's always the handful of really high profile college players, Bryce Young, Stroud. We're going to look at those matchups, and, you're going to see Carolina in a national window when we announce the schedule tonight. But, it doesn't overly change things, but it lets us look over those last 2 weeks. Okay, here's some interesting spots where these guys may fall.
And then Lamar Jackson re-signing, how much did that change with Baltimore? And are you guys included in any of this? Does the commissioner say, hey, schedule Baltimore, I'm hearing that Lamar Jackson's re-signed? Like, how much information is exchanged when it comes to putting this schedule together?
Yeah, we're always looking for information. We're going to talk to our colleagues in the building, and what are you hearing? Do you think this deal is going to get done? It's always helps us to know those things. I think with Lamar, same thing, right? They're a dynamic, exciting football team, but it's another level where he's in there. So when we were concerned, hey, there's a chance he may not be on the team, we may have considered, do we put Baltimore a fewer times into big windows on national TV? Once he was signed, full confidence to go out there and put him in the windows we have them in.
How many primetime games for Aaron Rodgers this year?
You're going to see the New York Jets in the maximum number of, whether it's fully on primetime. We've already announced he's going to be in the first. The Jets are going to be in the first Amazon Black Friday game. So yes, fully, you will see them as distributed as widely as you would have seen Aaron Rodgers and the Packers distributed if he was still on there.
But is that 12 games?
No, there's a maximum number. You can make. You can be scheduled for 6 national appearances, across NBC, ESPN, Amazon. And then, a certain number of those games have to go to CBS. Some of them are going to end up on Fox as well.
And then we just found out Sunday night is going to be the Cowboys and the Giants.
That's right. We announced that this morning. Wait. Oh, you just scooped me. Sunday.
It's going to be.
You got me, man.
It's the Cowboys and the Giants on Sunday night. Just letting you know, Onnie.
Thank you. I appreciate that heads up. We did announce the Cowboys and the Niners. I'm stunned here. Cowboys and the Niners, we announced in week 5 on NBC Sunday Night Football. Yeah. And we announced that kickoff as well.
And you didn't mess up. That information is leaked out. Just letting you know. I don't want you to get in trouble.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Do you ever tell anybody, like, off the record, somebody wants to know, hey, I want to plan my trip to Miami, see the Dolphins and the Jets. Can you tell me when that's going to be? Do you ever leak any information sort of to the neighbors or friends?
No. You get those questions a lot. The easiest part of that is that up until this past Monday, those things were all changing. So I wasn't going to, whatever I might have told you 2 weeks ago may have changed by the final schedule that we put in front of the commissioner. So that makes that part of that a lot easier.
Does the commissioner have a favorite team?
He loves all 32 equally.
No. He doesn't like Arizona. It's hard to like Arizona this year. But growing up, was he a Patriots fan or Giants fan?
You know what? I don't know that answer. I think you should have him on and ask him.
Oh, we've tried to, Onnie. Could you tell him I said hello?
I will for sure.
Hey, great to have you on, and good luck with the broadcast coming up tonight.
Appreciate it, Dan. It's an exciting day for all of us.
And that's Onnie Bose. He's the NFL Vice President of Broadcasting. He's been part of the NFL schedule making for 15 years now.